So now we start our second part of our lectures on patents, and that's about patent search and strategy. When I first put this lecture together, when people saw the topic of it, they said, "Oh boy, this is the secret to doing your own patent searches. This is going to open the doors to intellectual property." And the reality is, it's more or less a glorified Google search. But there might be some things in this lecture that will help you out. If nothing else, to give you the confidence to go ahead and do it yourself. So when I'm starting out with my idea and all, it's probably a good idea to find out what's been done before. And so why should I do a patent search? I mean, what's my motivation? What's the benefit? And first of all, if you encroach on somebody's patent and they've got money and they're pissed off at you, this will get very expensive very quick. You find out where the state of the art is. And so, I can't tell you how many people have thought they did novel work and it was done long ago. I was once sitting in the Stanford library and these grad students were talking. And they said, "Oh, and we could do this paper on stress compensation." Yeah, and they were all excited about it. And I just turned and looked at them and I said, Dr. Steve Cho did that 4 years ago, and it's already been published, and it's actually in a journal. And they sat there, "Well, how did you know this? And how could you be so specific and all?" And it's like, because I'm Steve Cho. Anyway, yeah, I crushed the hopes and dreams of graduate students. I've had worse days. Anyway, save you some time and money. Improve the quality of your product by knowing what is out there. And not only that, but when you do file your own patents, make your claims even better. It'll increase your knowledge of the subject matter. The two best places to get information on a topic are theses, because typically the person writing the thesis is supposed to be the world's foremost expert on a topic. And so they summarize it for you nicely, and not only that, they got a boatload of references, so you don't have to look for the papers, they do it for you. The second place where you get great information is patents. And patents give you a ton of information about something. And not only that, it only costs $3. You want to buy publications from somebody like Elsevier, it costs you $25 to $30. Oh, by the way, you have my sister to thank for that. She was an economist and she figured out that's how much people would pay for it. Yeah, there are certain conversations at Thanksgiving we don't get into. Anyway, it gives you a chance to get some reference information, find out who you're competing against. It acts as a guide of how you do your search. And not only that, but if you're interested in a topic area, you want to know who to contact. Authors and people who do patents, well, they're happy to talk to you. So what I need to know is my idea patentable? Is it novel? And of course the dreaded being obvious to those skilled in the art. Patents are not cheap. If you look over this table, the things that you're looking for is it novel? Is it brand new? Do I have freedom to operate? Meaning, is there so much competition out there that you can't operate because everything's been patented already? Are my ideas valid or invalid? And what's the landscape? What are all the other patents in this area? And as you can see, it could be really, really expensive to do a search and to have other people do this stuff for you when you could do it yourself. The thing that drives patents revolve around how much is it going to cost? How much time do I have to file a patent? How novel is it? And how much competition? And all of that plays off against each other. Again, you can use money to speed up your application of it and try to get ahead of the competition. But by the same token, time is impacted by the level of novelty, meaning if you're not ready to go and you're not novel, then you can't file. And so you can see how all these factors play together. In terms of cost, patents aren't cheap. Apple has over 1,200 mobile patents. Yeah, that's a lot of heads on sticks. Maintenance cost, it escalates at the specific time. It could cost more than $100,000. And then all of a sudden you take that more than 100,000 and start multiplying it by the number of patents you need around a product, and it adds up pretty quickly. And it's pretty much why a lot of products are unpatentable. So what's the timeline? First, there's a public release of the information. Like if you just tell your partner or something like that, that's still considered to be secret. And this is what actually kills me about some ASU students. They go out and they broadcast everything you're doing. And I'm like, oh my God, you do realize the clock is ticking on you, right? Because you just released that information to a public forum. One of the most common public forums is Kickstarter. You have one of two options. You can either go ahead and file right away a full patent, or you can go the provisional patent route. That could string you out for about 2 years. 1 year to file the provisional, then another year. And what typically happens is your patent gets rejected first off. They tell you you don't have enough claims, or you're violating other people's claims, and so you have to make your claims more specific, and then you refile. It's granted in 1.5 to 2 years, and if you decide to go international, it could go as much as 2.5. But until you file, you don't set a priority date, and a priority date defines at this point where you have patent protection. The quality of a patent sets its value, and what they look at is how good a strategic fit is it, how much scientific value does it have, and how good is it legally, meaning is it written well, are the claims worth something? And so they look at these kind of issues. What goes into a patent is the submission detail, the backgrounds of the information, figures and diagrams, claims, references, and citations. And so this is what a patent looks like. This was my very first patent that I filed with my advisor. Yeah, I did all the work. He got his name first. But the thing is, the regents of the University of Michigan were the actual owners of the patent. And I could have just killed them because some of my claims are being used today in hundreds of millions of sensors. And yeah, I got less money than I got from the gyro. But anyway, this is what a patent looks like. And so what are the pieces? Well, it pretty much tells you the date it was granted and the patent number, so you can find it, who the inventors were and who actually owns the patent. And this part is really important because what happens is every product in the United States gets a class code. And through that class code, you can find all the other patents that are related to your specific product. If you go further down on a patent, what you see also is the benchmark publications or other patents that define yours, and so you can look them up online. So again, a lot of information. And the thing about those authors, or those are people you can actually contact and ask questions from. You can file internationally. And so internationally what happens is you get a WO number, which is World Organization. It's filed under the Patent Cooperation Treaty. It secures your priority date. And not only that, but they pass a judgment on it, and they represent a lot of different foreign nations. In terms of your strategy for approaching your patent search, what you're doing is looking for intelligence. And so there are 4 traditional techniques that they use. One is a product map, in that you correlate the patents according to product features. Or there's a white space, and that just refers to you do a general patent search, whether it's industry or sector. A landscape gives you a competitive map of who you're going up against, and monitoring is about your competitor's IP moves. And so these are the values to look at. Domestic patents are covered by the USPTO. One thing that drives me kind of crazy is your patent goes through a pretty long review. Why don't they outsource the patent work to competent professionals and have them do it? Just a thought to speed up the process. International patents, again, it varies to a lot of countries, but what they're trying to do is harmonize it. That way you're not constantly filing for patents. That's a pretty expensive situation. And the three biggest patent organizations in the world is us, Japan, the Japanese Patent Office, and the EPO, which is the European Theater. And so in terms of where to find these, where to find patents, these are the big sites. USPTO is fantastic. The problem is with all these engines, you could put in a certain terminology and it'll accept some and reject others. And it's not consistent. So when you do a patent search, you're actually kind of troubling the search because you have to look at the other sites. Free patents online isn't all that comprehensive. Google patent search is much better. But you can get papers and look it over. And here are some of the other international organizations like South Korea's KIPO, China's SIPO. What it comes down to for searches is everything is web-based, and so you're basically looking at keywords, and you want to avoid having to pay for it. The thing is, do you get other people to do it, or can you do it yourself? I've heard both arguments. Professor Weissy in our department, some of you may have had him before, he doesn't use patent lawyers. He draws up all his own patents. He's confident enough that he understands the system, he can take advantage of it. But the thing is, most patents are written by lawyers. And the thing is, what do lawyers speak in? Lawyers speak. So they understand the caveats and things you're going to run into much better. Why do search failures not occur? And that's that, again, all these databases don't return the same information. The USPTO starts from 1976. There might be patents and other things way before that that affect what you do. You have weak search terms, and so you have to be careful about the way you use terminology and other issues. Combinations of search items. Are you picking the right ones? And lack of quality search results, and that happens to all of us when we try to shop for something. So this is what the USPTO website looks like, and as you can see, it gives you the basics, the program overview, finding patents, what your maintenance fees are going to be. So actually the USPTO is an astounding place to get information from. And they also give you the 7 steps, which is the 7 steps to entrepreneurship. So if you click on the Help tab, what you find out is they pretty much will walk you through every gap in your information that you need, such as how to use an advanced search space and everything else. In terms of this whole sales process, we have a gross filter, which is the field code that we talked about on a freezer. And then how do we classify the data that's actually relevant, and how do we interpret it? And that's dependent on the product. The big thing about when you look at patents is you have to learn how to skim. You are not going to be able to read every page, so you have to be used to looking at quickly and picking out what information you need and what you don't. And I would say this is a good place to break the lecture, and we'll pick it up in part 2.